This is part 9 of the What is Love series, and I'm overdue for this. There's a lot of concepts that still need to be excavated because what is love? The definition, which is love is attending to the emotional well-being of another being, even though when I created that, which took number of months and then years prior to finding the need to come up with a definition, because even the dictionary does not have a definition. It lists traits, characteristics, and attributes. This definition is so succinct and so perfected, in my humble opinion, it's not humble, believe me, that it needs and calls for an excavation, because people don't understand it. I guess it's so simplified. It's difficult for some people to grasp and understand. So this is why I've spent many videos now. This is part 9, further excavating. I love that word. Getting down to it, getting down to the actual, what does that look like? And I wanted to do a video on giving and receiving, and what that looks like, and how certain people and personalities contend or deal with that, or how they operate when giving and receiving. But what came to my attention was another basic area which is what are emotions, and what are the 6 basic emotions, which are an amazing writing down of the person that came up with these. I forget who it was. Dolby? Maybe it was Dolby. This is all psychology, okay? Because what we're dealing with when we talk about love is something that is sacred, all right? Love is from the emotional world, and which is the world of the spirit, and it could be as easily identifiable as talking about as someone that a very highly spirited person, all right? So it's the spirit world. The spirit world is what has been bestowed to us from God. So when we're speaking about emotions, this is a sacred area, and love is a sacred area. And I've said in other videos that the word love is mentioned in the Bible. However, even in the Bible, it doesn't have a definition. It could tell you what it looks like, but there is no definition. And I believe that there is no definition in the Bible because the word emotion had not evolved and come about, okay? Which is another very interesting concept. And this is all from my own excavations. I mean, if you could find the word emotion in the Bible, please let me know. Because with this great advancements in technology we have, we could just look for a word in our Bible app per se, or Google ask, and it won't come up. So as in other videos, I'm going to delineate today I'm going to excavate the 6 basic emotions. All right, some say there's 7, which are different than feelings. All right, in other videos, I made this big, huge feeling list. Feelings when needs are met or satisfied, or how to feel or what to do when you'd like to create in your partner or in another being the feeling of their needs being met. And then those are the positives, right? The healthy. And then on the other side, which is much bigger, is the unhealthy, which is the feelings when needs are not being met or satisfied, or how to be or feel or what to do when you'd like to create in your partner or the other person the feeling that their needs are not being met. My God. Okay. So what alerts us to, there's a difference between our thinking, all right, is our mind, and we point to the frontal lobe because that's where thinking happens. In our cerebral, the frontal lobe of our cerebral cortex, all right, and then we have the primitive brain, which is in the back, the medulla, all right, it's below the cerebellum. The medulla and the cerebellum, I can't remember, but it's the primitive brain. The medulla takes care of our central nervous system, our heartbeat, our when we eat something, our stomach works, right? So we are given the capacity to think and free will, which differentiates ourselves from the animal kingdom, which obeys the Creator's every command, and they operate off of the primitive brain, which we also have, the medulla. All right, this is where emotions come from, where the emotions are elicited, which I'm going to get into. The emotions are the expression of the feelings, and there is a difference between feelings and emotions. And I forget my train of thought, but you got to just stick with me. All right, and these are jewels that have been obtained from the netherworld. All right, we are given both heaven and hell on this planet, and it's relative. All right, heaven is relative and hell is relative. It's a personal relationship. When they say a personal relationship with God or personal relationship with Jesus, we have a personal relationship with both. Right? You're only going to hear that from me. We have a personal relationship with heaven. We have a personal relationship with hell. And I'm going to talk about, just briefly mention the yin yang, which I love so much. We have the light side and the dark side. And in the light side, there's a little bit of darkness. And in the dark side, there's a little bit of lightness. And what does that represent? A whole human being. And our drive and how we were created to operate is mostly in the light, and to keep that darkness in check. Acknowledge that it's there. This is how we live long, healthy, prosperous lives. All right, prosperous has to do with advancement, abundance in the realm of fruitfulness, right? Fruitful. Be fruitful and multiply. So, okay, so going back to the animal part of our brain, which is the primitive, animals are guided by pure emotion. They are pure emotion, which means they feel all the emotions, right? In emotions, the 6 are happy, sad, fear, disgust, anger, and surprise. Now, I have issue with the designation of these 6 because they are words that are not the actual action. An emotion is an action. Okay, so just backtracking because I wanted to. Okay, so the animal, God, our Creator, gave us dominion over the animal, right? The anima, I like to say, the spirit, the animal. We are the part of us that our animal, the primitive brain, we were given dominion over the animal. All right, so we were given the capacity to reflect on our emotions. Now, some people were robbed of this birthright. And who robbed it? The dark side. Were those guided by the dark side. So when that happens, it is a lifelong task to get it back, right? It was not supposed to be robbed from us. We were not created with to live prosperously with that capacity missing from us. Okay. It took 10 minutes to lay that groundwork. So it has come to my attention that what is the difference between feelings and emotions? Okay, so going back, our mind I like to say, if we don't listen to our mind, our emotions tell us, and if we don't listen to our emotions, the body is the last stop, just like that book, The Body Keeps the Score. But emotions are different than feelings, all right? So the emotions of happy, sad, fear, anger, disgust, and surprise, what it really should be is happiness. Instead of happiness, there should be laughter. Laughter is an action, right? Laughter, glee, excitement, arousal, thrill, right? Laughter is the best one because it's an action. You can see it, you can view it, you can see it in others, right? And you can reflect on what you're doing when you're laughing, right? I am laughing. It's an expression. In some areas, I see that instead of happiness, there's the word joy. But joy is only attainable by those who acknowledge the indwelling of the Lord. Okay? Joy to the world, right? So that's why we deal with happiness, because without acknowledging the indwelling of the Lord, happiness is then a thrill or excitement, which sounds very primitive, right? But hey, so I would like the happiness factor of one of the 6 basic emotions to be laughter, something you can see, and it's kind of it's secular, right? Instead of sadness, what should be used is the word tears or crying. That's something that is an expression you can visibly see in some displayed by somebody, and you can feel it for yourself and also see it. All right. And the tears are the ultimate expression of sadness, right? And then sadness is more like within the realm of what feelings are, and it's usually in the negative emotions. We don't want to be in the realm of sadness. Then we have fear. And instead of fear, the expression would be nerves or anxiety. When you see the shaking of somebody or the uncertainty, you can literally see fear, which is on somebody, and it comes in the form of even goosebumps, right? So these are all tears, laughter, all activated by the primitive brain. So once this is activated, then you see it. Nerves, and then also for fear, there's the feeling of having to eliminate from yourself, the feeling of having to pee or to poo, like, somebody is attacked by a bear, they shit their pants. Somebody's attacked by another person that has more power over them, that's more strong, that's stronger than them, that's dominant, they pee their pants, right? So that's fear, all right? And these are emotions. These are the expressions. So the expression should be what is visible. List these as the emotions are the actual action that you see. Then we have disgust, right? So disgust is more than if somebody says, oh, that's disgusting. Well, what is happening? What are you seeing? He sees nausea, vomiting. Inside, there's the stomach turning. You see something, I don't feel good, right? What do I have here? What did I skip? Oh, I skipped over anger. Okay. It doesn't matter. There's also spitting. You spit something out. Oh, it's disgusting. That's an action and an expression. You could see it. And then I saw another video where it was determined in science, in the science lab, psychological science, if somebody like crinkles up their nose, right? That's what they said, something about crinkling up their nose. It has to do with the sensation of almost activating the taste with the disgust, you know? Okay, so now there's anger, which is screaming, yelling, right? If you see somebody screaming or yelling, or you find yourself screaming and yelling, that's anger. That's the emotion. That's the activity that you could witness. Lashing out. What do I have here? Versus, oh yeah, anger versus disturb. And this is not rage, a raised voice even. Anger is someone with a raised voice. So when you see somebody with a raised voice, or you find yourself with your voice raised, that's an expression that anger is present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have the 6th one, which is surprise, which is an interesting emotion. But what does that look like? All right. What do you see in someone else? What do you see in yourself? What can you label in yourself? These are all important, basic, primitive existent type of situation that you can find yourself experiencing. So surprise, the mouth falls open, right? So that is a visual. It's an expression. Mouth falls open. Someone that flinches, right? Surprise can also be confusion. What it looks like is the eyes brighten, right? It's also like shock. What does shock look like? Mouth opens, eyes open wide. So those are the 6 basic emotions and what they actually look like, so that we can determine within ourselves or see it in others of what is going on, what has been activated in this person or in yourself, and to have dominion over them, not to control them, but to acknowledge that they are there. Now, sometimes when it's called on to control, it's because the pervasiveness of one over the other could be something that needs to be recognized and attended to, right? Love is attending to the emotional well-being of another being. So those are the emotions, right? We want to have the positive ones most of the time. Now, I think there was 7. Somebody tried to say that there were 7 emotions, and the 7th being contempt, which to me is unnecessary, because that's a mixture of anger and disgust at the same time. Where there is hatred and when you find that someone is despising another person. But to me, I'm acknowledging that, and I'm saying that that's not necessary to add. Again, what does it look like? It looks like a bit of anger and disgust mixed together. The yelling, the screaming, the raised voice, the lashing out, mixed with disgust, the spitting. Okay, so somebody can just spit at somebody. I actually thought of this before. Someone that takes arms against another, to be or not to be. Shakespeare talked about taking arms, and then we have the right to bear arms, which is an arms. It's a physical attack. It's getting physical with somebody. And the right to bear arms is to have an extension of our own ability to hit somebody, to make physical contact in a way to hurt somebody. And the right to bear arms is an extension of that. If one does not have the power to overpower someone that is dominating another. Yeah, so there's that. So I guess that's what I wanted to get to today. Self-reflection creates the ability to measure the impact of oneself on another. And all of this is to create the capacity of self-reflection. So there are people that have been robbed of this or discount this, and they are guided by the dark side. Unfortunately, even if that capacity was robbed from them. So to mingle with these individuals, one has to be very careful because they can manipulate your emotions, right? They talk about authenticity and genuineness. Where are these people in that world? And then you can feel, I have another note here, you could feel emotion, right? You can feel an emotion. So I urge you to look at my other videos and to digest what I'm saying here. Sometimes when I tell people my definition of love is attending to the emotional well-being of another being, they will repeat it and say, yes, love is attending to the well-being of another. They leave out the word emotion. The word emotion is scary to people. So when people repeat my definition and they leave out the word emotion, they're completely missing the intention and the point and the definition of what love is. Okay? And it's interesting, when I circled where these emotions of happy and happiness, sadness, fear, anger, disgust, and surprise fall under my feelings list, happy is in there on the positive side, and so is surprise. But surprise again is a tiny. It could work both ways. But anger, sadness, and disgust and fear are all on the negative side. Look at that. That's how much the dark side works on us. It's more prevalent, right? And it's our personal relationship that we have with these sensations and sensibilities. One informs the other, right? And they talk about emotional intelligence. Well, this is something that when someone is aware of all these attributes and using it for the benefit of mankind and the fellow man, that indicates the quote-unquote emotional intelligence. People debunk that too, that there's no such thing as that. Well, awareness and knowledge of how we were created and intended to operate is a type of informed way of being. One last thing, the mind informs the emotions, and the emotions, okay, so if we don't listen to, it's the negative. If we don't listen to our minds are telling us to be skeptical about this and that. Our emotions tell us. So if we find ourselves crying, or if we find ourselves laughing, this is our mind informing the feelings. And I've gone into other videos where the emotions, I said feelings, but when the emotions are activated, I said in other videos that when one has been robbed of the birthright of having dominion over the anima, the emotions that originate from the primitive brain, then the perception of the thinking could even be off, okay, and not correct. So that's why you've also heard you can't trust your emotions. Well, you got your mind to decipher with emotions. And when the emotions aren't listened to, like for example, I'm going to just say at the end here that, these are jewels from the netherworld, a diamond, it was coal that was with lots of heat and pressure from the netherworld, but I arose. I came out of that. The first 25 years of my development was in one type of netherworld, and then the next 25 years of my adulthood was also in another netherworld. And now I'm out, and these are the jewels that have been created. Okay, because as some preachers say, God has more in store for you. Well, God has more in store for me. And the last stop is the body. When they say the body is the last stop, well, this is where disease comes from. We're not living correctly. We're not listening to our emotions. Yeah, so for the first 20, I cried for every day for 50 years, and I didn't listen. I didn't know, because I had been robbed of my discernment of what the purpose of this primitive brain is for. And there's plenty of other videos out there from many awesome experts, Dr. Ramani, Pastor R.C. Blake's, The Enlightened Target, Tim Fletcher. These are extremely informed individuals on these topics that there are others I've mentioned in other videos that have gleaned these concepts for the betterment of our existence, for us to have dignity for ourselves and for others, and where everything is sacred. All right, and this is from these worlds. Even though psychology is so-calledly secular, it's really an excavation of the creative God of creation, the sacred spiritual world. So this is what I leave you with, and now it's a half hour long. So 'tis the season, and I will come back again and speak on giving, receiving, not giving and taking. It sounds so archaic, the phrase give and take. It's repellent to me. I want to vomit. It turns my stomach. Okay, that's the emotion it brings up on me. Look at my face, frowning. Tongue sticking out. That's an expression of my emotion. But there's also giving and getting. Okay, and getting is what is elicited by those that are guided by the dark side. What can I get out of somebody? What can I get from so and so? So it's giving and receiving. Okay? Yeah. Maybe one last dark side thought is if somebody shows up at your doorstep that and you weren't expecting them, you're like, and you let them in, right? You let them into your house or your place of living. That there's a concept from the dark side that the dark side cannot enter unless you let them in. There's even I think a movie called Let Me In, or it's a choice. All right, so you could either keep them outside your house, right? Do not let whoever in that is questionable, right? They have to be vetted. that trendy word that's not even trendy anymore. It's been around for a couple years now, like overused for a couple years. Oops. All right. See you later. Happy, joyous time of the season.